Hello, friend. Welcome. I'm glad you are here. On this episode of Are You Safe Too? Will the woodworker ask Susie the leather seamstress to sew his pinky back on after an accident with the bandsaw? Oh, I don't do it justice. You ever see that show, The Repair Shop, from the BBC? I think it's fascinating, some of the restorations that they do. If you get a chance, it's called The Repair Shop, and they've had a number of seasons. Um, every episode has a couple of different items that people bring in, and they ask these specialists to restore, repair. There's a clock worker, there's somebody who specializes in instruments, musical instruments, pinball machines. There's a leather specialist. There's people that work on teddy bears and stuffed animals and fine painting. It's a really neat show. So today is part two of a three-part. The first part we worked on a 1970 Dodge Charger, a Lego set, and unbeknownst to me, I tried recording episode two or part two, and the camera wasn't recording. So what we have here is a little bit more than the first part. I've completed the chassis. Here's the trunk. We've got the NOS, the nitrous oxide tank, steering wheel, seats, starting on the roll bars. And I thought I would start with a few questions that came in from people that emailed me off the channel. And so these aren't frequently asked questions, but they're just some questions that are pertaining to the channel. The first one comes from, and hold on, I gotta clean my glasses here for a second because, yeah, that'll help see things a little clearly. To see things more clearly. Okay, so the first question comes from Drivealicious 206, and they ask, what is this channel? That's a good question. I'm just a few episodes in, and I'm trying this as a little side project to occupy my time. During the week, I'm a safety specialist, and I've been doing it for 30 years. I've been helping companies understand the reasons why safety is important and to help create safe workplaces as well as explore cost savings. In fact, those are the number one and number two values that the company I work for has in our value set. So this channel is a chance to take a little bit of information. It might be helpful to educate, to motivate, to inspire, and then also to just try something new. And I realized that there's lots of very excellent YouTube channels. And I thought I'd give this a try. I am an empty nester, and so to fill my day or weekends, what can you do? If it's a crummy day outside or raining, it's nice to have a little side hobby. And I've also enjoyed the element of building Lego sets. Some sets are right out of the box and follow the instructions. Other times I will take an idea and create my own creation, or mock, as the technical term is in the Lego community. A mock is something that you build yourself out of bricks, and I think it's a great way to maybe pair the two. How do you build a safety program? You build it from the ground up, and it involves pieces and elements that fit together. So as a whole, a company has the rules, regulations, policies, and procedures, but also understanding the why, not just the how, understanding the when, and not just the what. Because accidents are expensive. No bones about it. And in my 30 years, I've seen a lot, maybe more than some, in my travels across the country and working with more than thousands of safety specialists, safety managers, department heads, upper management, and workers. So I've seen a lot, and part of us being human is sharing stories. So the R.O.C.K.S philosophy, remember our commitment to keep safe. R.O.C.K.S. Learning from the past, because you can't go back and change it, but you can learn from it. Those mistakes we've made and those we've learned from other people or those who've gone before us. In the middle part, our commitment, it's our commitment to use our training and watch out for each other on a day-to-day part. So you have the past, you have the present, and then the future is keeping safe for what happens next. Planning, asking yourself, what if, to avoid or prevent expensive accidents or egregious or detrimental fatalities. All right, second question comes from QTQZ92. Why the art mat? Why can't we see your face? The art mat is an homage to a YouTube creator, a maker, a builder, a miniatures and diorama specialist, and it's Boylei Hobby Time. If I remember, I will leave a link or somehow I'll try to leave a link to that channel, because in the maker community, I've really enjoyed for the past few years watching what he's done. How he creates his content is amazing. The editing, the pace, the lighting, the vocals, and the quality of work is just outstanding. Is that something that I could achieve? Maybe someday, but everybody starts somewhere. So here I am. So the mat is kind of an homage, and that's why the camera, and you don't see my face, because in my career, safety isn't about me, it's about helping other people. So, who I am isn't important. That's why you're not going to see me on a lot of social media and stuff like that. It's just getting the message across, sharing it, educating, motivating, inspiring. Okay, next one. And this comes from Butcher Hog 72109. Yeah. Can you just do Lego and not the safety stuff? Good question, and I might do some episodes. That's a really good question. I may do an episode or something involving just Lego sets. And as I said, this is a work in progress. I'm learning as I go. So today we're going to build a 1970s Dodge Charger from the Speed Champions set. And I might throw a couple of ideas for you to think about when you're in your office and or talking to your safety manager or management or workers. So again, if I can offer something that you can share, that just extends the ripple effect even further. All right, last question. This comes from Airy DB043. I don't know. I love how people come up with their email names. Can you just do safety and not Lego? So I picked both of these out, kind of the same thing. And I'll say the same answer. I'm learning as I go and I'm sharing as I go. This is a very rough format. I don't do the editing and the fancy cut-ins and pictures in the corner or snippets from movies and sayings. This is just a friend sitting down, having a cup of coffee, or in this case, I got a bottle of water, and shooting the breeze. So we'll get into this. I hope you're having a good day. It's still kind of rainy here, and it's been like that. You don't get that damp feeling in the rain. And if you see my right hand move over, it's just because the mouse, I'm moving the instructions. I have the digital download on the instructions, and over to the other screen, I've got a little rough draft outline, so I can hopefully stay on task. As it's been pointed out, the Todd tends to wander off the tracks a little bit. And hey, you know what? Welcome to my world. ADD, OCD, ADHD, from the safety community, NSC, VPPA, ASSP, AIHA, insert your own acronym here. So what we've done in the car, you see this red part? That's the NOS. That's the nitrous oxide that allows extra oxygen into the fuel to create more power. The other part, we have the roll bar assembly. That's here. We have the trunk. And I think we're going to start working on on the sides and the hood. So it's a neat build, and I picked this one off the shelf, took it apart, tried to separate it into pieces and sections so this wouldn't be a 6-hour long YouTube episode. I don't know if I even have the attention span to watch a long form video unless I'm looking to, fall asleep. I did create some playlists in the channel. So this way, if you see something that you like, you can then look at the playlists and either go backwards or forwards on the type of content that I'll be providing. Something I picked up from another YouTuber, so it may help. All right, where we're at right now is we're going to look at the side panels, and in that case, we have some side windows here, and they have stickers. I'll be honest with you, when it comes to Lego, I am not good at placing stickers. So you don't see it on camera, but over here I have a light. It's a ring light, and there's a magnifier in the middle. So when I can get really up close and teeny tiny to place those stickers on with tweezers, yes, there are elements of Lego that have stickers. I'd prefer the pre-printed kind. Anyway, that's just my own take. So this is set number 76912, the Fast and the Furious 1970 Dodge Charger RT. If I said Challenger, that's a whole different type of vehicle. It was released in 2022. It is now retired, and there's 348 pieces. So where we're at right now is looking at these pieces right here. And we're going to take one of these and we're going to attach them like so. And we're going to make, we're going to make two of them. So there's one. And we're going to take another one and do that. So here's a question for you, if you'd like to fill into the comments section. Are you a Lego fan? If so, what are some of the themes that you enjoy in the hobby? And if you are a very creative person, what do you like to make on some sets or your own creations? And if you're a safety person, share a good story or an anecdote. Maybe somebody that you trained or was part of a safety program that used their training and watched out for each other. And if you're following along with the home version, we're on step number 59 out of 99. So you can maybe guess why I chose to break this into smaller, more manageable episodes for that. I did not know when I was actually doing a little research, and when I collect a set like this, I like to find out more about the item. And it was interesting to read that there's a charity set up, and it's associated with Paul Walker, the actor who played Brian O'Connor in the movie. Oh, got to move there's my little micro, and there's Vin Diesel. Going to help watch and help build here today. So the Paul Walker character, there's a charity, not character, Paul Walker's the actor. They have a sticker, a decal, that they use as a donation incentive, and it says, "Tuna, no crust," on it. And I thought that was, again, a nice way to give back from the movie and the thousands, millions of fans that are out there. So there's going to go there. Here's a safety tip. I'll offer this out today. If you're in your office, next time you're in your office, take a look for the labor law poster. And this is a poster that's required by OSHA to be placed in a public area, usually a break room, and it lists all the guidelines that are needed for labor in America. Check the date. Many times, if I'm doing a walk around at a facility, I will use my OSHA checklists, and that's one of those important features is labor law poster, and is it updated? So look at the date, and if it needs revision, if it says like 2022, chances are that the state that you work in might have made changes to the state labor laws, and certainly federal laws change frequently. A friend of mine has a quote, "Don't be a lounge fly." And when it comes to safety, I gotta say, following the protocols, the rules and regulations, we have to do it, but human behavior sometimes dictates otherwise. And then we find ourselves as they put it, lounge flies. I've been known to put a chair on a table to change a light bulb. I know, I should go out and get the ladder to do that, but I sometimes need to get the job done on time and under budget. Oh, does that sound familiar? Right? All right, front wheel wells. I'll put those and snap those into place. The nerd part of me does enjoy watching how people make things, different crafts, different models, different hobbies that people are making things. And I don't claim to be any type of musician. I like music. I was a DJ for many years, but I can't play an instrument to save my life. I enjoy when other folks perform, both live and the recorded music. And so the art of making music is something I respect. I also respect people who are good with numbers. I could not be an accountant. I have known many accountants, and I have a lot of respect for them. People that work with numbers, figures, financials. One of my jobs was an office manager at a trading facility. They did day trading. Now, the company I worked for rented out the space, and people would come in with their own finances and would rent a cubicle, and they would do their trades throughout the day. And my role as an office manager was kind of making sure that the lights were on in the morning, that the lunches were ordered, and there was an area where the traders could go and grab lunch, and so that the normal facility operations, if somebody spilled something, cleaning the floors. And it was interesting, fascinating to watch these financial people buy and sell so fast. I mean, every time they would click an item or a trade on their keyboard, our company would make, like, let's just say $1. And the hundreds or multitude of clicks that these traders would make in a typical day. Of course, it added up, and it was financially beneficial for the company to have a place that was safe. And we had a technician that had 9 T1 lines coming into the office. Now this was 2000. Yes. It was late 2000, early 2001. I was only there a short time because I did not pass my Series 7, which is important in the financial community. I just couldn't grasp entirely the concepts. And it was a field of work that interested me, but I consider myself a safety person. And there are other folks that are much more capable, much better suited for financials. I am not one of them, and that's okay. where are we going to put this piece? We're going to put this piece right here, because that should lock in the wheel wells right there. And then we have this little curved piece, which will look like part of the door hinge. Again, I like the attention to detail that these designers at Lego have put into the product. Ooh, something else I learned as I was researching this vehicle. Did you know, maybe you do know this, but Helen Mirren begged the producers to be cast in the Fast and Furious movie. And because, and I wrote this down, I quote, just loves driving cars in movies. And can you imagine Helen Mirren in Fast and Furious? I mean, of course, it's great when celebrities do something that's a little bit out of the box. That also reminds me of another note. The director for the role that Paul Walker was cast in originally had Mark Wahlberg, Christian Bale, and Eminem before casting Paul Walker as the Brian O'Connor character. It's a shame that he passed. It's too bad, because I think some of his acting roles that he's done over the years have been fantastic. So, okay, let's continue with, we have two of these. We're going to do two of the tiles with two studs there. And we're going to set those aside, set that aside. And I'm going to need one more of these. Luckily, I have a spare. So let me go down to my box of spares. And we're going to look at this one. It's always nice to have a little pile of extras when you need them. Nope, those are grill pieces. Here we go. These are 1x1 little, nope, those are 1x1 tiles. Let's see, plate 1x1. 1x3, 1x4. Didn't he set these aside ahead of time? Didn't he sort? Didn't he say he was going to sort the pieces ahead of time? He said he would. He said he would. And I did. Or at least I thought I did. There we go. I have seen various Lego creators that have rooms. And in those rooms are bins. I have little plastic bags. I do not have these stacks and racks, because something to think about if you are collecting Lego is where you're going to put all this stuff. I would love to build the Ultimate Collector Series Millennium Falcon. But where am I going to put it? And how am I going to keep it, dusted and still being able to look at all the unique pieces? The other set that is on my bucket list, and I actually would create space, is the Titanic. And this model, if you haven't seen it, you can go to the Lego website and look at it. It is just oh man, it is. It's a lovely set, and I don't use the word lovely very often. Ask anybody who knows me. But it is absolutely gorgeous. And I think its construction and assembly and display would be phenomenal. So in my work office here, I would create about a 4-foot, 4.5-foot, heck, even I would make a 6-foot area to display that piece, that artwork. And some Lego truly is. It's art in plastic form. So we have the assembly for the beginnings of the engine, which is going to go up front here. And then we're going to move to some corner pieces, and we're going to drop those down, one on this side and one on this side. There's a quote from the movie. Again, I noted this because it's relevant to workplace safety. And it's a quote called "Winning is winning." And yes, sometimes crazy wins. If you drive through a yellow light, we're taught we're not supposed to. We should slow down and stop because there's a red light soon to follow the yellow. But how many times, and I'll confess, I have done this too, you're in a hurry and you know that road so well that you can go through that yellow light. No big deal. Nobody's going to stop you. It's a yellow light. Yellow is caution. Green means go, red means stop, yellow means floor it, right? But my dad told me, you could go through a yellow light 100 times. 99 times, nothing's going to happen. But there could be that one oops, and bam, a car crash. And if you have been involved in a car crash, whether you're the one who got crashed into or one who did the crashing, it sets your day back. There's a lot of unnecessary paperwork that could have been prevented if I had just slowed down. One car crash that I remember, I will always remember this. I was in a funeral procession, and the gal I was dating at the time had a grandparent pass away. So, being the understanding boyfriend that I wanted to be, that I should be, I took the day off and helped drive her, and in the back seat were, I believe it was a couple of younger cousins. And we were in the middle of this long procession of cars. And the police had been part of this to stop traffic, allowing the funeral procession to go through various intersections in the way that prevents accidents. And as I was coming through, let's use this as an example. As I was coming through the intersection, there were 2 police motorcycles. And as I'm halfway through, somebody came through, disregarded the police lights, and hit the front part of my truck. Luckily, I was the driver. Everybody else was in the passenger seat. Nobody was injured. But that sound of crunching metal, the screeching of tires, and that shock of, oh my gosh, what just happened? Broken glass. And looking through the window at the driver, thinking to myself, what just happened? What are you thinking? And I was able, with some help, to push the car off to there was a service center gas station over here. So we were able to get the accident out of the way so the rest of the procession would go through. Somebody else stopped and picked up my girlfriend and the 2 kids and took them. And I left to take care of the accident. And the driver did not have car insurance. Why is insurance important? To cover accidents. And we pay a premium, and there's deductibles. Again, we're getting into financials, which I don't want to get into, but when I get asked by this, well, we can have an accident because insurance will take care of it. Well, if you have enough accidents, then insurance carriers may think that you're a liability and either raise the rates or change your mod ratings, and it creates all kinds of havoc. I have a note that one episode I'll address the financial side of things. I've used this in training sessions so I can pull some of those resources. But right now we're building a Lego set. And we are going to protect the engine block down here. So this element here, and insurance is very important. I'm not saying companies not have insurance. You have to have it to cover accidents. But if you are a competent manager, safety manager, HR specialist, then you will look at your safety program, and I encourage you to put a little NOS into your planning session. Add a little bit of oxygen, get some extra power going, and review from the top down, from the front gate to the back dock. Look at all the elements that OSHA says you have to do and compare it with what's currently happening. Ask yourself, what if? What could happen? Are these chemicals being stored properly or not? And I think you'll be quite surprised, pleasantly surprised, at what happens in a situation like this. So we have finished this section of the build, and I have some more time left. So I'm going to take the third bag, and we're going to get just a slight head start on this. Our magic key secret words today were loungefly and sometimes crazy winds. If you're following along and playing the home version of Are You Safe Too, then check those off of your bingo card, because it is... you see how I did that? A clever trick that I did not invent. I learned this as a hack. You take the teeny tiny pieces that ping off and fall on the floor, and you step on them or you get swept up by the vacuum, and you put them in a cup, turn the cup upside down, and take the lid off. So now I have all the little teeny tiny onesie twosie pieces that I can use to continue building. And in this case, we are going to take a couple of brown brackets and round ones by ones. And these will create another mounting bracket for the front of our vehicle. And we come back to our car. Place those there. Life hacks. Is that what the kids are saying these days? I took a life hack and adapted it. Again, let me go back to safety. Oh my gosh. You're thinking, why does this guy live, eat, and breathe safety? Because I made a commitment to it 30 years ago. When we're faced with a situation or an adversity or a challenge, we look at what has happened in the past. We adapt to fit it into our day-to-day goings-on, and then we review it. So if I go to the beach, and boy, that's my happy place, is the beach or the mountains. If I go to the beach and I get sunburned, well, I should know better, right? Isn't that what our parents used to tell us? You should know better. I have the ability next time to go to the store and get some sunscreen. Then I can be protected. If I'm on a job site and I leave the hard hat in the back of the truck, well, that leaves my noggin unprotected. So if something falls, or if I'm walking around, let's say, scaffolding and bump my head, a hard hat protects you. In one training I did at a conference, I used a cantaloupe and a sledgehammer. If you're old enough to remember Gallagher or Gallagher's brother, they would smash fruits and vegetables with the sledge-o-matic, this gigantic sledgehammer that they made. And there was just a riot. The audience went crazy when these vegetables and stuff would get just pummeled. So I used that example of a hard hat. And I took the hard hat at the beginning of the session. Now, this is 4 hours I had with people, and I wanted to get their attention right away. So I took the hard hat, placed it on the cantaloupe, took a hammer, and as hard as I could, crashed it into the top of the hard hat. And because hard hats are designed the way they are, the cantaloupe walked away undamaged. Then I set it aside and continued with the remainder of the training, taking a few breaks in between. And at the end, as kind of a, what do they say, a closer, I referred to it a few times during the training, teasing the audience, do you want to see it? Do you want to see it smashed? And I had some visqueen, some plastic sheeting, and I had volunteers come up, and we laid out the plastic sheeting. I set the cantaloupe down and just crunched it like a Gallagher concert. And people were, it was just so fun. I said, if you try this in your own company, remember, I am a trained professional. I have had my fair share of accidents, and I know what I'm doing. If you choose to do this in your own facility, please take the necessary precautions. I encourage you to practice ahead of time. So there's something you all can take away from this. If you're looking for an interesting dynamic on the importance of head protection, use the cantaloupe analogy. However, part of my training isn't just doing a dynamic for its dynamic's sake, or an example for example's sake, or it's not for entertainment. There always has to be a meaning behind it. What is relating to? So, in your training session where you're using head protection as an example, make sure you're discussing the importance of it, why it came to be that you must wear hard hats at the job site or in the facility, or the importance of head protection. Bring up the financial costs. What does a average head injury cost the company? How does it affect the company's bottom line? Does it eat into the profits when the public gets word that an accident happens? Nowadays, we live in social media where everything is posted faster than you can imagine. So word gets out that an accident has happened at a facility, and if customers see that, are they going to choose you the next time they need to place an order for the services or products that you provide? Talk about that. And then ask the audience, and this is one of the most important parts because you want to bring safety back to a personal level. Ask your training group what it means to them. If they were to have an accident, how would it impact, pun intended, head protection? How would it impact their world, the world that they live in? What do they like to do? What do they want to do after the day is done? And again, making safety personal is one of the ways psychologically you can reinforce your safety program to be more than just a set of rules and regulations and policies and procedures. It matters. Safety matters for everyone, not just the employee, but that employee's family and friends. The company that they work for is one part of the bigger picture when you think of the activities that the employee likes to do, or that employees like to do. A bowling league. Oh my gosh, Billy Joe can't make it. He's our top scorer. He has an average of 299, and he's not here today because somebody threw a wrench across the shop and hit him in the head. Ripple effect, big picture type of things. It makes a difference when you can connect people to the training you're trying to provide in a way that, again, it educates, it motivates, and it inspires people to think outside of their comfort zone. When I used to teach rock climbing, yes, I used to teach rock climbing, and I volunteered with the YMCA in the town that I grew up. They had a climbing wall, And I took a class. Gosh, I was in my early 20s. I took a class to just have a neat thing to do. I thought it would be fun to learn a new skill. Back when I used to have abs. And I liked it so much. I liked the class. I liked the way it was presented that I asked to volunteer to teach. And I went through the teaching program. The YMCA has very good guidelines on how they vet their educators and their coaches. So went through all that, became a certified trainer, rock climbing instructor, and I asked for, I didn't volunteer, I wasn't given, I asked for the family classes with the kids. Because if you're going to share a skill and tie it back to how it relates to them personally, then you start at an early age. And these kids would come up to the wall right away, first class, before we ever talked about harnesses and ropes and safety. They would start climbing. Whoa, let's start with the basics. Let's get the beginning down. Let's learn how to address the wall. Hello, wall. How to put the harness on properly, how to tie the ropes securely. And then we'll do a little test. We'll just climb up a little bit, maybe 6 inches or a foot, and then I would let them experience what would happen if they had let go, because they were low to the ground. There was very little chance, and there were mats underneath to cushion. But it would be better to learn at a safe instance than 20, 30, 40 feet up. And I would try to relate in an 8-week class, let's say it's Tuesday nights, I'd try to relate something back to them personally that they learned in the class, like tying knots securely. Well, what are you knotted up? What knots you up? What gets you stressed out or tight? And how can you work through that safely and morally and with values and things? And how does that affect your school and your friends? And so I would try to incorporate personal things, and the parents were always helpful. It was great when the parents were in the harness and the kid, and at part of the class, after all the basics were learned, I would have the child at the holding the rope or on belay, and the parent would climb. And that was a great turning point in the dynamics of the parent-child relationship, when the parent realized they were not in control. They were climbing, they were defying gravity, but at the same time, at the other end of the rope was their 8-year-old or 9-year-old. And of course, we also had engineered clamps and connection points so that should the parent fall and the child was not prepared for it, then the child was anchored into the bolts in the floor safely and securely, and they wouldn't go, flying up in the air. The parent, we made sure, because we asked ourselves, what if we're going to teach parent-child classes and we're going to allow them each to take turns climbing and being on belay, then we better make sure that accidents aren't going to happen. It was just a really interesting time. I got really into it, and I even volunteered at other climbing gyms around the area. And one of them was the Chicago Athletic Center. They had a 110-foot climbing wall. I can imagine it's still there, but it's been decades since I've been back to Chicago professionally for a work career. So we are now moving into step 70. I'm going to give it a couple more steps, and then we're going to call it a day so that you can enjoy. I'm done goofing around, and I can actually get to cleaning the rest of the apartment and vacuuming, and laundry's already done. I've really enjoyed having you here today. I hope you have too. The information about checking the labor law poster in your workplace, I hope you found that helpful. And maybe you'll find, wow, hey, Todd was right. We do need to update our labor law poster. Or maybe you will find out that it is up to date. You can thank me later. I'm just joking with you. But But yeah, take a look. Look in the break room or wherever it's posted. Check the date to make sure that it is updated. If it is, great. Congratulations. You can check that off your OSHA list of accomplishments and make a calendar reminder to yourself so that when it does expire, or just every January or every December, talk to your local safety provider or reach out to me. I can help you. I've got great resources for this stuff to get a new one. You know, I that's what I do. I help people make sure they find the right solution and the cost savings to boot. So we have 1, 2, 3 bricks. We have the spacer. We have the 2 front connection brackets. We have our brackets here and here. So are we up to speed on step 70? Why, yes, sir, we are. One more step. Come on, let's just do one more. One more step. That'll actually save time for the last final episode, and you won't have to hear me drivel on and on and on. Todd, you're talking about all kinds of rambling. Well, it's the weekend. Weekends are a time for rambling. There was a Steve Martin song where he was a rambling guy. Talk about a celebrity you'd like to sit down and have dinner with. He's one of them on my list. And listening to stories from other people, I've had that opportunity many times in my career. And before I was a safety specialist, I was a corporate photographer and a corporate marketing specialist. And sitting down with folks at dinner was a big part of our job. Many times there were famous people. And my boss, Roger, early on said, Todd, let's not get all fan crazy when so-and-so comes in today. Just do your job. And he was a very good mentor in that capacity. So later in life, when I would be sitting with the kings of the safety universe and negotiating a contract over dinner, I knew how to act because of that prior experience, because of the foresight that my boss had at the time to educate me properly in how to conduct yourself in a corporate meeting. One lunch, and I will share this, there was a company called Aboue. They were a French company. And 2 brothers, the Aboue brothers, had recently acquired an earplug manufacturer called Howard Light. I was very lucky to have been asked to sit in while the, you know what I did? I goofed. Did I goof? I did goof. Oh my gosh, I put these in the wrong spot. See, when you want to watch a train wreck, you don't have to go far. You can just come right here. I'll take care of all the train wreck that you can handle. Just be patient. Something's going to happen. Thankfully, we have our little brick remover. Let's see. That is going to go. Let's see if I can do it from this angle. Yep, there we go. I'm going to remove that. And remove that because it's going to go up here. See, just one stud off. I will have an episode. I have this on my calendar. I'm going to talk about our compass, our personal compass and our corporate safety compass. And when you're off by just a little bit, it can really impact the bigger picture of either your destination or your goals in life, and what we can do together to make sure we're on track, on par, or our compass is adjusted to allow us the most efficiency in our projects, in our lives, in our destinations, in our goals and achievements. Okay, so are we back on track? I think we are. All right, so that is there. That is there. We're also going to need another piece here and here. Aha! I knew it. I knew it. I just knew it. Todd's lost his marbles. Yes, I've known that for a while. Have I mentioned I'm really glad that you're here? And if you would like to, how do they say? Like and subscribe, please do, because I will have some episodes that I've shared the material in other forms and fashions, whether it's at a conference or a training session, that I think will be interesting and in a way that educates, motivates, and inspires. Well, that takes us to step 71, and that allows me to take a stop right here. We'll come back for part 3 of this 3-part build of a 1970 Dodge Charger. Okay. Labor law posters. What's your favorite movie? What's your favorite Lego set? If you have a favorite accident, yes, we can look at accidents a little lightheartedly. It's unfortunate at the time, but after a while, you have to take the black armband off and carry on. What is comedy? It's tragedy plus time. And in this channel, I'm not going to hold back on what you choose to share. I may be very delicate or have a little discretion on what I share. And then remember our commitment to keep safe. Learning from the past, planning for the present, living in the present, working in the present, and planning for the future. That is today. My name's Todd, your personal safety specialist, and together we're going to save the world one accident at a time. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you next time. Be safe and enjoy.